I think everything that we've discussed today, and thank you, Bishop Jackson and Musi, for this opportunity. We're at the World Parliament, or the 2018 Parliament of World Religions. Every religious expression or discipline or a reformation, all of the major ones, and many that we've never heard of, from Hindu, Buddhist. I didn't notice a lot of Pentecostals here, but there are some evangelicals, Jewish, Islamic, the Abrahamic faiths. Maybe one of the most radically inclusive conventions or conferences I've ever attended. I wasn't supposed to be here. I came at the last minute because Musi texted me at 4 o'clock in the morning.
Yes, I remember.
He had a rush of emotion. He said, you got to get here tomorrow. And we were going to meet later this week in Huntington, California with Eckhart Tolle.
Yes.
And Marianne Williamson and Iana Van Zandt.
Yes.
I'm from a classical Pentecostal background, 4 generations.
Yes.
Fundamentalist, Christian, Protestant, Pentecostal. I'm a protege of the great, what I call Pope of Pentecost, Oral Roberts.
Pope, eh?
Billy Graham would be the Pope of Protestantism, but Oral Roberts, that's my favorite,
Okay.
one of my extra titles of him.
Yeah.
We're all influenced by their handprints or fingerprints and faith prints, and sometimes their footprints are on us. We're a generation, and I'm 65 years old, who's coming out of that consciousness to an expanded way of thinking about everything, from the image of God as an angry entity or a God with anger management issues, who throws terrible tantrums and tsunamis and volcanoes and tornadoes and cancer and AIDS, that he's very angry, and he's a male. And so the whole patriarchy ideology and the male gender referenced to God has sort of run its course. We recognize that with the divine feminine, even rejecting a feminine, an ovum from the Oval Office in the United States. That's the way I look at it. It wasn't just Hillary and all these things they've said about her, because nobody's proved any particular criminal activity, but with the influence of Putin, they've made people, they've demonized her. And so that spirit from Obama to Trump has been a totally different energy. A masculine, narcissistic, angry, forceful, bullying spirit.
Somebody called it the dragon energy.
A what, dragon?
The dragon energy. Kanye West.
Very dragonistic. In space of what we would call the divine paraclete, or the feminine aspect of the Trinity. If you are a Trinitarian, you don't have to be that. But we miss that nurturing, birthing. We miss the mammary glands.
Wow.
Religion has become very forceful and fistful and angry.
Fistful.
Instead of a force, it's become a farce for peace. It has not. This conference has beautifully brought us together just for conversations. Even men and women, or male and female, we've not had conversation.
Yes.
We've had consternation. Even referring to her as the opposite sex subconsciously says she opposes you as a male and he opposes you as a female. In this country, we have a 67% divorce rate, and it's more in the red states, which are very legalistic. The more laws you make, the more laws you break. You have less divorce among atheists, agnostics, and less religious people. Statistics bear me out on that, because there's these high expectations that are discriminating and demeaning and demanding, and we're not created to flow with that kind of friction, without oil, without the anointing, without normal bodily fluids, if you will. So we encompass all of this. We must make the change, then manage the change, then ultimately master the change. We're barely making the change. People are rethinking what they believe, why they believe it, how those beliefs add to or subtract from the quality of their lives. We're dealing with a millennial generation that has no interest in what we've been taught. They reject the traditions. I made the statement the other night that Jesus made reference to old wine skins, and how that new wine burst old wine skins. So I've had my fill of old wine skins, and old winos, drunk with religion. And not to mention that same group that has become old winers, very angry. And there's a fresh wind blowing, a fresh spirit. We're embracing it. More importantly, it's embracing us.
Yes.
I mean, we've got no business talking this way. we wouldn't have been here a few years ago. Musi wouldn't have had that kind
Of
of
course.
revelation.
Yeah, yeah.
But we have good, deep-rooted classical Pentecostal foundation that informs our expanded way of thinking
Wow.
in transcendence and transformation and transition. We're all trans. We're all shifting, and it's powerful,
Yeah.
plentiful. And so coming here, I wasn't expecting to come.
Yes.
I didn't plan to come. It wasn't on my schedule. Didn't even want to come. Musi texts me at 4 o'clock in the morning. I just got up to pay my water bill. And I get this text, and I go home the next day and fly out the next morning at 4 o'clock for these 2 days. It's been life-changing. I even met and talked with a Hindu goddess,
Wow.
a young woman trained in
Yeah,
a certain
yeah, yeah.
tradition to see out of
Opening
the
the
third
third
eye.
eye.
And it was interesting to see
Very
what she
much.
thought. I'm not intimidated by or afraid of anything with which I'm unfamiliar.
Yes.
In fact, that's how I expand.
Yeah.
At 65 years old, I'm more curious than I've been in my whole life.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I have passed this over certitude spirit
Yes,
that,
yes.
where you know all and you all are all and you got all the
Yeah,
answers.
yeah, yeah,
I have more questions than answers. I ask questions, answer questions, and then question my answers.
Yes, yes.
And that has caused me to expand. So we're all, I think, at our age, fathering a special movement of enlightenment that's very powerful. And I've never been happier in my life.